Hey everybody, what's going on? I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary, revolutionary astrologer, business coach, and intuitive, and I am here to bring you your celestial wisdom for an upcoming Scorpio new moon. And this isn't just any Scorpio new moon. This is also the moon and the sun making a little bit of a canoodling with Venus and Mercury retrograde. So here's the thing, though, with Mercury stationing right next to the sun and moon, it marks our halfway point. And so on Wednesday, the 19th, we are going to have this new moon in Scorpio, and it is not for the faint of heart. But before I jump on that, how's everyone doing with this Mercury retrograde? I'm hearing lots of different stories. I've had my own experiences, of course. I'll be interested to see how many times I think I have to re-record this particular video as I'm trying to find words sometimes, or who knows what could happen to interrupt and whatnot. So anyways, I think though, in pure human fashion, I'm just going to let it fly. Whatever happens, happens, I hope. Yeah. So keep in mind too that during this Mercury retrograde, it is retrograding right now through the sign of Sagittarius. By the time the new moon occurs, it will be moving into the sign of Scorpio. And so think back on some of the themes that showed up at the end of October before the retrograde occurred, because those themes may be coming back for us to revisit, redo, regurgitate, whatever. Also, super important that we make sure we take time out to care for ourselves, especially during a new moon and with a Mercury retrograde, because we're feeling more internal. Remember, new moons are dark moons. There's this feeling sometimes where we need to be a little bit reclusive during a new moon, at least for a small moment before we're ready to step back out into the world. So do make sure that you carve out some quiet time where you can. And if for some reason you need to sleep in one morning a little longer than usual, give yourself permission to do that in the next few days. Now, keep in mind too that this new moon and Venus and Mercury are in a water sign. Water signs, when we work with the element of water, deal a lot with emotion and spirituality. It deals with where we are passionate in a different form than, say, fire. Fire passion, as we know, burns and it gets hot and it has this ability for, we'll call it purification, where water does also cleanse and purify, but it has a gentler, a more, I'll say, womb-like feeling to it, right? And so here we are with Scorpio, water element, new moon, Venus, Mercury in water. The emotions are going to be powerful. They're going to feel intense. Some of them may feel like a tsunami. I know many high sensitives are going to struggle here because when you feel something, you feel it like exponentially, right? Keep in mind too that Jupiter is in a water sign of Cancer, so it expands whatever it's in, and being that watery element as well, there could be an expansive energy. Now, granted, there is a wide enough trine to Jupiter during this time too. So that adds another layer of, I'll call it ease and flow of emotions. So what we need to make sure that we have in place might be a dam or two that we can turn on or off, right? Use our practices of grounding, distracting, whatever it might be, if it becomes too intense. Because again, this is not a light new moon. It's a soul level reset. Scorpio energy is all about death and rebirth. It wants to get to the bottom of everything. It's the why sign, if you will. It always says, well, why are we doing that? What is it? What are you not telling me? It's the investigator, right? We're going to go deep. It's the sign of shadow as well, because it often carries with it this hidden information or hidden energy to it. And so we're trying to get to the truth. We're trying to uncover what was hidden. There's also a lot of desire here. So on a positive note, this could really activate this desire nature inside of you, especially if you're in relationship or trying to get in relationship and you want to mix it up in a sexy kind of way. This is a great way of doing it. Emotional honesty comes into play during this time. Not always fun if it's something we don't want to hear, right? But as I always say, I won't get mad at somebody telling me the truth. I won't get mad at the person who's being honest with me. I may not like what I hear, but I won't get mad about it. So also, now we're adding the ingredient of Venus, which is about relationships, love, values, right? How we give and receive within our relationships. Is it fair? Is it balanced, harmony? And then Mercury, again, truth telling, information. We revisit patterns because it's retrograding. This is a triple threat, if you will. Could be a hat trick if you're into hockey, right? 3 goals. Yay. Just depends on what we're working with. So I point this out that the triggers for a lot of this emotional energy could very well be within our relationships. What am I getting or what am I not getting that I want? Or maybe I uncover a truth that I really didn't want to face or I didn't want to know about. But as they say, better the devil you know than the one you don't, because you can deal with it. This energy exposes what's real and it dissolves whatever's not real, whatever's false. And then if you're in alignment with your values, if you're in alignment with your truth, it will stay, it'll attract or align like a magnet, more of that to you. So this is going to be one of those moons where I believe that the truth sets us free. So if you have felt bound by anything, this is a time where things can be opened up and released. Even though it's a new moon and we set intentions at a new moon, it's like, how do I set something new if I'm still holding on to a pattern or something old that doesn't serve me or that has been harming me? So this new moon is going to see beneath the surface. It's going to say, name it to claim it. If we've been avoiding something, you can't avoid it much longer. Releasing dead weight, reclaiming our power. You know, I say name it to claim it, right? So very often we don't have conversations or we avoid something. And when by doing so, it gives whatever that is more power than if we face it and say, okay, let's hit this head on. This is a deep reset of our emotional identity, especially in areas of boundaries, of trust and intimacy. All those are Scorpio energy, secrecy, vulnerability. Oh, vulnerability. People don't like being vulnerable because I could get hurt. I'm not saying go look for pain, but pain is part of life. So embrace it, right? We have tools for a reason. Intuition is going to be at an all-time high. Trust it, just don't go into paranoia, right? We can begin this new chapter in our lives. There can be really beautiful healing involved, especially in our relationships. There can be attachment issues that we've had in our relationships that can now be healed and released because of this Venus sitting in Scorpio near the new moon. We can rewrite our relationship patterns, healing wounds from how we give and receive love. We can deepen our intimacy by being vulnerable, by being truth, by speaking truth. Yeah. We can confront what it is that we truly desire, speak to it. Even if we're not getting it back, we can at least claim it, right? Now, because also of this being a retrograde, Mercury retrograde, old lovers might resurface. So we may have to deal with some of that conversation or patterning. There could be old karmic threads or ancestral patterns that pop up that we need to work with. Deep attraction, right? Could happen. We could feel really drawn towards people who are truthful, who are honest with us. We're wanting depth more than we are comfort. So we're going to have those tough conversations, or we're going to face those difficult truths. And so what can often happen too with Mercury and Scorpio is that it can bring things back, like old conversations that maybe you thought were dead and gone. Maybe somebody close to you or in partnership or whatever says, I need to actually talk about this. I have personally a particular conversation with a loved one who we keep jumping around it, going, we need to talk about that. Are you ready? No, not yet. Okay. And that's the gist of it, right? Or we'll point to it in a passive aggressive way with each other. And we know we're both doing it. In some ways, it's sort of a joke. But I'll be interested to see that when Mercury does move back into Scorpio if this becomes a real conversation that we have. Also, we're going to find that intimacy issues may pop up for us. And so we have to deal with that. Are we getting bored in the bedroom? Do we need to mix it up? Or are we afraid to explore and do some things that maybe could enhance our sex life? That's not just intimacy. Intimacy is also truly being seen and allowing ourselves to be seen. So maybe we start sharing some of our shadow with other people. Or, like I said, I'm just going to let this video fly. And if it does get screwed up, oh, well, I mean, nothing I can do. Mercury's retrograde. I can blame Mercury. But there's also an aspect here where with intimacy, it just gets very vulnerable to the sense that, what if I get rejected? Do you know so many people fear rejection? I do. I don't like being rejected. It doesn't feel good, right? Because we want to belong. We want to feel like we're included. So these are some things that may pop up for us to really examine. And the other thing too is that with that shadow, if you will, that's admitting and working with our old wounds. And when those wounds come up, to talk about it. Now, the moon here too can expose some of these shadow pieces or these woundings of jealousy, control, fear of rejection, like I mentioned, fear of losing power. There could be some power struggles that come up in relationships, especially if we're dealing with what we value or maybe how we spend our money, right? You're in a partnership, and you're like, I want to spend money on this. And the other person's going, but why? That doesn't make sense. Or we don't have it, where you can't go get that loan because we can't afford it, right? And so there could be power struggles that come up. And what the real issue is, maybe the wounding is, I grew up without much of anything. And so I'm afraid, I'm in that scarcity mentality, that fear of lack, you know? So maybe we can heal that together as I expose that as one of the woundings. Old betrayals, secrecy, there could be deep longing. That creates such an emotional pull at us when there's a longing. When we look around at our lives and we say, that's missing, I wish I had that, or I don't have this and I want it. And so then the longing takes shape. And I can tell you from experience that longing, it can get in the pit of your stomach and feel like somebody's ripping your stomach, your heart, your spine out of you. It's a tough place to be. So I totally get that. So the invitation is to try not to take yourself into the story of that longing, but into what is the truth about that longing? Where does it really stem from? Keep going underneath it to get to the real truth of the matter, because maybe it's not the object that is causing the pain of longing, but maybe it's an old wounding, that an old belief system that was long held that is no longer true. And that can be transformed with the light of awareness. And so we can heal these fears around depth and vulnerability, of losing ourselves in relationships or losing ourselves in love. We can trust in ourselves again. We can trust in another. So many of us have been hurt by other individuals. And yeah, you know what? It sucks. Sometimes people just behave badly. But that doesn't mean that everyone is that way. And it doesn't mean that that person is that way all the time. As I say, a mistake, okay, we forgive, we move on. A pattern needs to be addressed and it needs to be worked with. And we're looking for progress, not perfection. So if the individual that you're working with has a pattern that they're trying to change, and they actually admit it, they claim it, they start to gain tools in order to navigate it, it doesn't mean that the pattern just dissolves and goes away. It may be that they need practice for that pattern to show up again, but then they say, yep, that was me doing that thing I did before. I recognize it. I'm changing it. I apologize. Okay, now what are the new habits to put in place of that old one, right? And so again, progress. They're practicing. We're not looking for perfection. Please give each other, give yourself a lot of space and grace during this new moon. I think that it's going to be a really powerful one, because this allows us to claim our truth. It claims our shadow. It integrates it. It can help us create new patterns that serve us and that really benefit us as individuals, which then, of course, benefit the collective. So that's the big energy this next week. Like I mentioned, Mercury will be at its halfway point before it goes direct on the 29th. And the following week, we have Thanksgiving coming up. I'll do a different video for that. But in the meantime, at least Thanksgiving in the US, I should say. But in the meantime, let's not make Thanksgiving our one day to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who like, subscribe, share, comment, follow me, come find me at Jamie Dawn and One to Listen. And I'm so grateful for you. And I'm grateful for my life. And if you're in the Reno area, here's a shameless little plug. My daughter and I are going to have a open house on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday the 18th, just to invite our local people to come by, meet the staff, come see the place, that sort of thing. And, I actually feel like sharing. I want you to see, I'm in my office. There's my view. I am grateful for that beautiful view of my city that I call Reno and I call home. All right, you guys, I truly appreciate you. Have a great week. Let me know how you're doing. Reach out. Let's remember, we're in this together. Lean in and lift each other up. Take care.